been done before. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Fleet's Catch-Up Ramblings, the show where we catch up on ramblings. As we do, we work through the questions until we're done, and that's the way we go. So, without further ado, let's catch up. So, where did we get to? So, that was a Discord, that was a YouTube. So, we need to go into PowderMonkey and grab the next Discord question, of which there aren't that many more. Of which there aren't that many. I can't even lose track of where I am. There we go. So. Okay, so the next question is from Bone Meal Boy on YouTube, who asks, did the Russians or Soviets ever consider putting nuclear submarines in the Caspian Sea, Lake Baikal, Aral Sea? And by that he means nuclear ballistic missile submarines. No, there would be no point.
Why? Why would you even consider that?
Like, if you look at it from a purely Tom Clancy perspective, not understanding what nuclear submarines are for, and also the limitations on nuclear ballistic missile submarines, you would think, okay, these are the perfect bastions. Nothing else can get in. They'll be safe. You still won't know exactly where they are. You can't first strike them. Until you realize that even a Typhoon, with its massive ballistic missile tubes, still can't hit anything worth a damn from any of those areas. Because its missiles don't have the range.
You need a land-based silo in order to launch something that could hit something from all the way that far back.
Exactly. And also, more to the point, the infrastructure to build them doesn't exist at any of those places.
At the time, in 1960, the average depth of the Aral Sea is 16 meters.
Yeah, there's also that little hiccup. But also,
aside from the Caspian, none of these places are deep enough to build even a midget of.
Lake Baikal's pretty deep.
Baikal's.
But also, it ices over like 80% of the year, so.
A, it ices over, and B, it's topologically an underwater valley.
Yeah.
So the vast majority of it is very shallow, with like a couple of deep trenches.
Yeah. But, okay, so where was I?
Lake Baikal might.
But even so,
you might be able to do it if you're planning on nuking China, I guess.
But even so, there's a much better way to hide full-scale ICBMs in a mobile fashion in these places. The Transporter Erector launch vehicle. There's a reason why the Russians had so many. It meant they could move and fire full-scale ICBMs from basically anywhere within their territory. You could move a wheeled vehicle. And they did.
Or if you want to be funny, put it on a train.
They did that as well. Again, there are better options than trying to build specialist nuclear submarines.
I mean, it's in the lake. You don't even need it to be nuclear.
You know what I mean.
I'm just saying.
Typical Gunner Officer asks, what is your opinion on mixed propulsion fighters like the FR Fireball and the Curtiss XF-15C? Do you think it's one of those interesting designs that never saw combat? And do you think the piston engines of these aircraft lacked power with the R1820s than the newer R2800? And do you think mixed propulsion would have maintenance and reliability issues with two different propulsions? Every single mixed propulsion aircraft that ever flew had chronic reliability issues. Every single one. Even the best of them, which was arguably the B-36 Peacemaker, even that thing had chronic reliability issues with its jet engines and its piston engines. And this was compounded by the fact that they were operating two on the same airframe.
To be fair, the B-36's reliability issues wasn't the mixed power plant. It was the god-awful electrical system.
Well, yes, okay, fair enough. But you get what I'm saying? Even the Fireball and the Curtiss XF-15C also had reliability problems. And also they kind of... The sacrifices made to the airframes to get the mixed propulsion made them shit aircraft.
Yeah.
There's a reason why basically everyone went, why are we mixing power plants at all? When everyone realized that literally instead of building the fireball, they could have built an actual jet aircraft.
Well, okay. You have to understand, the fireball comes from a very comes from a very specific requirement. This is the era when nobody knows whether if you could operate a jet aircraft off of an aircraft carrier. The logic of the design is there. They don't know if you can operate a jet off of an aircraft carrier, so in order to have the benefit of a jet, you need something to throw the plane into the air and have the jet engine take over. So a propeller engine.
Yeah. And
then, you know, and the thing is, the plane is like, the plane flies all right. It's not like complete dog shit. It's just they realize jet engine, we could operate jet aircrafts off of aircraft carriers. So then that got thrown out the window pretty quickly.
Yeah, and when it comes to larger aircraft, the mixed power plants make sense until the turboprop becomes a thing, which does both.
Isn't this answered last week?
I'm still convinced that they should have gone with a turboprop power plant for the B-36.
To be fair, turbojet technology is getting along the way at the time too. They could very easily switch over to high bypass turbojet.
I mean, the answer to the bloody B-52 from bloody Convair was basically B-36, but jet. So
but yeah, it's just.
I mean, okay,
basically,
let's not sugarcoat early B-52. Early B-52, despite being full jet, was also a nightmare when it came to reliability.
And just when he's needed, he arrives, thank God. For the next question.
And it's...
Carry on.
Large Cold War bombers tend to be, like the B-36, with very few exceptions, tend to be massive and unreliable.
Yes.
Because big plane and big power plant.
That's true of basically every strategic bomber.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not something to like. That seems like a very weird thing to single out here.
Yeah,
about going for a singular for a singular jet power plant sort of deal rather than a mixed or turboprop, because turboprop for bombers, and this is evidenced pretty quickly by what Tu-95 is relegated to, which is one of the fastest turboprop bombers out there, if not the fastest. Very quickly becomes nothing but a death trap. And you're pretty much forced to go to jets pretty quickly. B-36 falls into that same category. It's a death trap.
Yeah.
Would you like to burn today, sir?
It's not even that. It's just, would you like to fall to your death if you're not cut to ribbons by cannon fire? From MiG-15s and MiG-17s.
But it's also a case of power plants' mechanical reliability isn't what turns them into death traps.
I mean, mechanical reliability of aircraft engines in those performance bands, whether they are turboprops then, or whether they are conventional props, or whether they are jet props, is bad.
Yeah.
That's literally just a fact of aviation in that period.
Yep. That's the point we're driving at.
And I brought up the strategic bombers in general being really bad mechanical ability to point out that even early B-52 was a mechanical and maintenance nightmare. It's
Oh, all of
not
them were.
tied to just being the power plant.
Oh, okay.
They-
Oh boy, I should have done that. Why did I do that? Oh fuck.
Turbofans.
All right. So what's the next question? Because it sounds like we're beating a dead horse.
Okay. Next question. 1931 asks if the British. It's what we actually discussed a couple of days ago. If the British lose access to buying more F-35s, causing by a situation like America destroying NATO via invading Greenland, what does the Royal Navy do in terms of carriers and their air wing? They have to husband the F-35. They have, but also, more to the point, everyone's fucked. The US is fucked.
Including the
Euro-
US. Yeah.
The Europeans are fucked. Everyone is fucked.
Europeans
more-
start looking at Tempest going, is there any possible way we can stick this on a carrier?
Honestly, it's not even that. It's the US and UK supply chains. Sorry, UK. The US and European defense industries are so intermixed now that if NATO collapses, it ain't just F-35 that's fucked. Because F-35, don't forget, is a program that gets parts from all parts of its members. There's the plant in Italy that produces parts that are found for the F-35 nowhere else. And it's not just F-35. If NATO is destroyed by the US, this fucks everything.
Mm. Yes, that's already known. But for what the Britain would have to do is look at what are other options. And the only other option that's currently even remotely got any hope would be, well, we have to start looking at Tempest.
The carriers aren't big enough to operate a reasonable air wing of Tempests. Their hangars
Maybe
aren't big
not,
enough.
but again, if for whatever reason you can't get more F-35s, you have to look at something else.
What I'm saying, Dragon, is Tempest comes in as an F-35 replacement for the Royal Air Force, and you start sacrificing airframes as parts kits to keep the capability as long as you can, while you start looking at a QE replacement.
No, because that's probably not what's going to happen.
What I'm saying is that's the only option to keep a carrier capability at all.
Tempest,
It's a
Tempest
mixture
is
of
way too big of an aircraft.
it's a mixture of that and the fact we've still got 46 Harriers in storage somewhere. So you'd end up
Somewhere.
whipping out the old Harriers, which
it's also the fact that Tempest
the
fundamentally...
Harriers
Sorry, go
have
on.
definitely had their day airframe wise.
But
I
it's
think
more
so.
likely that Britain would accept a suboptimal plane than
Nothing.
we need to build an entire new
This
carrier.
isn't about a suboptimal plane.
You physically-
you can't safely operate a usable air wing from those ships with Tempest, Dragon.
It's also about the fact that I don't think even... you would have to
I
fundamentally... I don't even think you could get
Right.
Tempest on QE. There's no rebuild you can do to that aircraft to make it operate from QE. It's fundamentally a 6th generation land-based airframe, and leaving out the fact that it's not even VTOL capable, and to make it VTOL capable would basically crush the program.
I'm not even considering VTOL fleet.
Yeah.
I'm thinking
No, I know.
But
an attempt
again,
to shadow bar
the
them.
only thing, it's something they will look at. You look at a lot of things. Will it be Tempest just on the carrier? No. But they will look at, right, what can we take from bits of this program that we think will work? Because again, the chances of them getting new carriers is non-existent. Like,
I'm not denying that. I'm saying this is what you're going to have to do. Like,
Yeah.
if you can't do it, then guess what happens? You lose it when
in the
you run
interim,
out
you
of
just-
F-35s to cannibalize.
And in the interim, you bring out the old Harriers.
Because you can
Because they're
do
better
that.
than nothing.
If those are even actually airworthy.
they are.
Keeping aircraft in storage, even in climate-controlled storage, does not guarantee they remain airworthy. You cannot just go, they are.
It's something that the British military has done a lot over time. We actually are pretty good at preserving
Dragon,
planes.
I'm aware of that. I'm also aware of various defense acquisition and maintenance laws in the UK that mean that has to be scrupulously justified in order to do that.
And of course, let's not forget that even even other countries that have done this in similar states that we have, even though they've been fundamentally perfect in their storage of these aircraft, you still always get a few leakers. You still always get a few airframes that just do not pass muster. I would estimate out of how many?
Generally 40, it's a 40-50% attrition rate.
Yeah, that's what I'd expect. Just because of metal fatigue and
Yeah.
just general wear and tear. Like you're
Yeah,
gonna
but
like if you bring these, how many did you say there were, Foxo?
48.
I'd say out of those, you're probably gonna get 30 flyable airframes. I'd reckon.
Yeah, which isn't enough.
That's fine. Yeah,
no,
that's
it's
fine.
not.
No,
It's
no,
not,
because-
and-
Like,
and
it is
no,
cycling
no, no,
for what the
right,
Royal
no,
Navy's
no,
looking at.
No, it's not.
No,
Because
for-
if you look
for
at the
your
Royal
aircraft
own
to fly
combat,
off it,
One at a
it's
time. One at a time. Foxo, then cycling.
because if they've got nothing, they will fly them. It's not a case of, oh, it's not optimal, it's, oh, they're low on parts, or they're not, or they're out of date airframes, like beyond service life flight hours. Because the Fleet Air Arm and the RAF have and do operate those. It's a case of, we've got nothing else, we'll fly these.
Rather
And the
than
Royal
seen
Navy
the-
isn't just going to stick its thumb up its ass and go, oh, well, the Americans have stripped all our aircraft.
And they're not just going to go, oh, well, we might as well not have carriers now then.
no,
yeah,
but
They will use whatever
but-
they can.
But
Yeah.
what just to very quickly, if I
you
can
know what? I'm
speak,
not dealing with
if
this.
I could speak without being interrupted
I don't need this
for a-
on my Friday.
for a minute.
Yeah, piss off.
Okay, that's just not called for, Foxo.
He had already left, but I understand the sentiment.
I don't. I'm gonna round on you two for this.
I'm not.
You didn't give him a chance.
You
to-
don't blatantly shout over people.
Every time he tried to
I
explain himself.
I started shouting over him because he shouted over us. And quite frankly,
Also, I think his statements are completely false, and he wouldn't even accept that. Oh well, then the Royal Navy loses this capability.
He
They won't do that. They would refuse
you-
to do that. And he
you-
did
you
say
didn't
yes.
you didn't listen to
And
anything he
he
said.
literally did.
And he did say, oh well, the Royal Navy will have to get new carriers.
Well, yes, they kind of will.
And then when I've commented, they won't get this. Oh well, they'll have to. No, they won't. This isn't how Britain's done things.
And it
Well,
also didn't matter because the question's the short term. And procuring 2 new carriers is a long term investment.
it is.
But as always, he just disregarded half the fucking question. Which is
That's-
a part of my issue with him.
That's not what always happens. and I f-
Anyway,
and I do feel like you two did.
shall we move on?
I suppose we can do, but I'm not happy with you two for the way you acted, nor am I happy with him either.
Because I'm of the opinion that he should only be on when Dr. Clark's on. That way, Clark can call him out in his bullshit.
That's not. What?
This is not exactly the best time to do this.
No.
Yeah, okay. Anyway, next question.
Where is it?
Fun fact, do you know if you try and belly land a javelin, it will belly hop.
Good lord. Belly hopping javelins, what will they think of next? Trying to find the question. Give me a second. I'm just digging through the chat.
And you've lost this dragon, for fuck's sake.
No. I'm sorry. That's not. Like, none of you really acquitted
Let's-
yourselves well
no.
there. But anyway, that's something for another time.
Let's don't talk about it. Move on.
Yeah, move on. Wait, next question. Wait.
Apparently, he has to scroll up somewhere.
Give it a look.
Ah, here we go. Found it. The Begunner officer asks, do you think the SR-71 only has a mediocre career at best in US service, since the US already has spy satellites for spying on the USSR and their allies, and also the U-2 is the most cost-effective platform for spying and reconnaissance? Well, the U-2 is cost-effective to be sure, but SR-71 offered a unique capability in an era before digital uplinks existed. The ability to get same-day intelligence on, provided you had the refueling assets in place, anywhere in the world. Which not even spy satellites could do. But bear in mind when the SR-71 appears, you can't... It's... Spy satellites use rolls of film that has to be retrieved via parachute. Like, it is not instantaneous, first-time information. That's what the SR-71 can give you. It can give you photos on the day of an area in a way that it's all, and also, unlike U-2, it is fundamentally uninterceptable.
Mm.
The chances are minuscule, but don't say it uninterceptable. Just in case people did forget.
Yeah.
The SR-71 first introduced in '66. The amount of spy satellite up there at the time is,
Minimal.
Yeah.
the coverage of the globe is very questionable, and you're also going to run into the issue of camera quality. You're most likely going to get a much better definition of an SR-71 recon flight than a spy satellite of the era. Later down the road, it gets much better, or it leans more towards the spy satellite later down the road, obviously. But as an
Absolutely.
immediate asset for high quality image capture, that is your choice.
Absolutely.
You don't you use that when you know shit's about to hit the fan and you need to know what the fuck you're about to jump into.
Yeah, and it's also a very good diplomatic signaling asset. You send one of those rocking over the Soviet Union, you send it over a trajectory where they're trying to keep them hidden. And it's a very good way of, we see what you're doing there, dipshit.
Stop it.
And it's like, as for intercepting an SR-71, there's a reason they carried countermeasures. How many times they actually used them is a different question. But they did carry them.
There's always that off chance. You never know.
Mhm.
That's why you always prepare yourself for any sort of situation.
Yep.
And an SR-71 caught going slow is technically within the intercept range of the MiG-25.
However, the SR-71 can just go, see ya, chucklefuck. And occasionally they actually did do that.
But it could only do that at its surface ceiling. When it was on this photo reconnaissance mission, sometimes it had to descend into the very upper brackets of the MiG-25 surface ceiling.
Yeah.
Which is a flex completely sure, but it's still okay, you're in mid-25 range. Pack your countermeasures.
Right, next
Anyway,
question is
next.
from Knight. How much longer do you think people arguing against buying US military hardware can go on with that? And to be honest with the ways you're acting, will there come a point where buying US military hardware is simply politically untenable? Well, as we discussed, it's very hard to not buy US military hardware, but if we're talking about specifically US-only systems, I would point to the fact that Russia and China exist, are violating numerous international laws, and people still want to buy Chinese and Russian military hardware. So there will always be a market for military hardware if it's decent stuff, and in the right price bracket. And I don't think that will change.
No matter how the US act, there will always be US-friendly nations.
Mm-hmm. I mean, people say, oh, you won't work with somebody, but sometimes it is often a case of better the devil you know and choosing the color of your oppressor versus, and by that I mean, you know, if it's a, like what sort of, like, are you going to choose between death or dishonor? Basically.
Also, who are we kidding? Do you think the military-industrial complex is going to allow the US government to break down politically so hard in the international order that no one else would want to buy their stuff?
Yeah. Like, you better believe there's
Can you imagine?
You had better believe there is a lot of capital on both sides of the Atlantic being thrown at sovereignizing various currently international parts of the supply chain. And you better believe that's being done in secret, so neither side knows that it's happening.
Can you imagine Raytheon's trying to stay afloat with
I know.
just domestic US orders?
Jesus, the amount of subsidies they'd need. Like, holy smokes, Batman.
There are so many US military industrial complex that relies on foreign sales to stay afloat right now.
Yeah.
You bet your ass there's going to be a whole bunch of lobbying to ensure that Trump doesn't go too far.
And you also got to remember that the American military-industrial complex is going to be looking at companies like Rheinmetall and BAE and going, if the US fucks up too hard, all of our shit and manufacturing we've moved to Poland and Europe because it's cheaper, and Canada because it's cheaper to manufacture there. That's going to get nicked and given to you.
Yeah. It is, unfortunately. Which is why I don't believe a full transatlantic breakdown is likely. But then again, I say it's not likely, but I don't say it's impossible, given that I've had that in the last 5 years, things we thought were impossible have proven to be very possible. So, yeah. Next question. Typical officer. What if Operation Paul Bunyan in 1976... the situation between the US and North Korea escalated into a firefight and even combat? Do you think it's going to be a second Korean War because of a tree? Given the fact that full-scale artillery strikes on South Korean territory haven't, and the sinking of a South Korean warship and the shooting of certain US servicemen, which has occurred up and down the years since the ceasefire, hasn't led to a re-escalation of the conflict, no, I don't think it's likely. There is not going to be a second Korean War because of a tree, partially because neither side wants there to be. It is up to the North whether things escalate or de-escalate, and it always has been. The only exception to this was in the 1990s, where the South wanted to invade the North after the collapse of the Soviet Union, but before the rise of modern China. And the US told them if they go alone, and so therefore they didn't go. But in every other circumstance, the desire to escalate or not escalate has always been in the hands of the North. And I tell you something, in the 70s, they are not in a situation to escalate, and they don't want to.
The 70s probably would be the best time for it, though.
Maybe.
But the US Navy and the American Army's already committed in Vietnam. Try and pull off.
Not in
1950s
76.
again.
Not in 76.
Is that after they get out?
Oh, yeah. 76 is after they get out, yeah.
Oh, yeah, but I did.
Well, to be fair, not that really matters.
Forces in Korea were not really affected by the Vietnam War at all. US forces Korea were just...
Also, just pull whatever troops you got over in garrison in Japan as
Yeah.
well. But your entire issue is in China to let you do that.
And China's going to go, no. Korea's only really becoming capable of independent action with the completion of their independent nuclear program.
76 is Carter, right?
I'm not sure.
Yada yada yada. No, it's Ford. Carter's the year after. Right, yeah. Yeah, I don't know if Ford is someone who's willing to go over to China and negotiate this.
Maybe.
I mean, granted, this is the period where Sino-Soviet relationship is at its worst.
Yeah.
But fundamentally speaking, North Korea is still regarded as a buffer state
Yeah.
by China. So that's not something you want to really lose
Give up,
because
yeah.
you don't have much choice.
Next question. 1931. For Dragon and Voxo, how likely is it the furniture sets we see in the events would be actual buildings at the port in the timeline? In the port timeline. Words. I don't know. Why's my back killing me today?
You'll need Dragon for that one, and I suggest you ask him Brushev.
Yeah. Where's my next question? Here we go. Typical gunner officer, in what year were tail gunners in bombers outdated? 1972-75? The tail gunners on the B-52 or much later in Soviet bombers? Tail gunners, basically, notice when the last bombers with tail gunners are built on both sides of the Atlantic, on both sides of the Cold War. It's both sides' final generation traditional bomber. The B-52 and the Tu-95. After that, no bomber, apart from the weird case, I think, that is the OG Tu-22, but I'm not sure. I will have a look, but I don't think it did. Yeah, the Tu-22 had a tail gun, but I think that was more inertia rather than... yeah, that was inertia given when it was built. But no other bomber past that carried a tail gun. Basically because it was realized they were obsolescent. The B-52s continued to have them as their marks went on, because it was kind of, well, they're already there, so I guess we keep them. So that was kind of an institutional inertia. But yeah, no other strategic bombers carried tail guns because they didn't need them. Where is...
Yeah. Tu-22 came into service at the tail end of when tail guns might still be useful, so I don't really fully blame them on having it as well.
Where's my powder monkey here? There we go. Oh, this is a question specific for Foxo. So she can answer this one. I think. Maybe. If she's here. Earth to Foxo, are you here?
Sure.
Excellent. She's in orbit right now. Like, if you've not seen the new Fox satellite constellation. Orbit Fox, we call her. I'll see
Yeah, the
myself.
constellation of the 9 satellites.
I shall see myself out. Knight 6831 asks for
But you
Foxo.
know, Flea, I am in fact Modzilla herself.
No! No!
Do you actually know what Modzilla is?
No, and I want to find out.
They're the company that does Firefox.
Ah.
And it's also the name of the company's mascot. The titular Firefox.
That's funny. That's funny.
No, it's not.
I think it is. Knight 6831 asks for Foxo, what period are the... Didn't we already do this one? What period are the Egyptian-themed outfits from Azure Lane's 2025 Sardegna UR event prior to the Shackled Light? Yeah, I'm sure we answered this one already.
It's something similar, but I think he's asking something different about the same topic.
No, I'm sure that question has been... No, okay, never mind. No, that hasn't been asked before. All right.
Give me a second.
Hmm.
Are you gonna answer that question, Foxo?
I said give us a second.
Oh, fair enough. She's looking.
This is a mistake.
They are very much based off ancient and classical Egypt. And not modern Egypt.
Why is it modern Egypt never gets any love?
Because modern Egypt is Arabic and Islamic Egypt. They have some very interesting laws about how women dress.
Upper or Lower Kingdom? Or are we talking about Hellenic?
Hellenic Egypt is a mood.
Was that not right?
No, don't worry about it. I'm trying to find image of what he's talking about it. It's a mistake. I keep forgetting I never get like Azrael Lane's designs.
Yeah.
So, La Flota de los Oceanos, I think, says, It's a question for Dragon, who is sadly not here. I will put it in the thing, but we will get back to it. Actually, what I'll do is I'll mark it with a special. I'll mark it with an X, and I'll slot it in on. I'll slot it in on probably Monday. Come on, there we go. I'll slot it in on Monday. I'll have a look for it on Monday and we'll slot it in.
Oh, that's channel loads.
That's who it is. I had wondered. I think there's one more. Yes, there is. And oh my god, what? Why is my back hurting so much?
Yeah, so I'm gonna post an image of one of the skins in Rambling's text.
Okay.
Okay.
As you can see, there's a bit of Arabic influence, but that's very much classical and pre-classical.
Yeah. Good. Oh, I see.
Alright.
That is definitely a thing. We should probably get rid of that. It's a little bit close to it.
I'm specifically picking the safer work one.
But that's the safe for work one. That's the safe
Welcome
for
to
work.
Azure Lane.
I fucking hate
Something
Welcome to
Apple,
Azure Lane.
and
I
it's
hate it.
rated PG-13.
Welcome to
Whoever
Goonergate.
rated that PG-13 wants their eyes examining.
Oh, I think there's one that got.
Stop it. Moving on. Moving
Wait,
on.
wait. Do you remember the Shibari one? The Chinese ship?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's also in there. Oh god, the very fact I can say that phrase. Right, Gunnery Officer, if you want any opinions on the M1E3, just go watch Chieftain's video on it.
Yep, seriously. Like, Chief. And also, again, this isn't ramblings. This is catch-up ramblings. Oh, again with the British slant. Come on, man, be better.
But yeah, got a point. When it comes to protection, there's nothing on the fully bogged down Challenger 2. It's just 83 tons of tank. And you're not going anywhere quickly.
Merry Christmas. Bone Mill Boy asks, could the new Nightfall TBM be put in a Mark 41 VLS, and how useful would this be for the Royal Navy if their ships receive Mark 41? What are the uses for ship launch conventional TBMs? Fundamentally, I would probably say not, given that it's a theatre ballistic missiles. Those are weapons for the army. The Navy has its own conventional strike weapons in the form of Tomahawk. Theatre ballistic missiles are designed to give army commanders rapid reaction, on-call fires that can deal with targets you might have 1 minute to 2 minutes to hit. That's what they're there for. Trying to design a theatre ballistic missile that can also fit in a naval VLS would impose severe constraints on the weapon and massively balloon the cost. So no, it's not going to be in Mark 41. A weapon exists that the Royal Navy can use for conventional maritime strike. It's called Tomahawk.
It flies further.
And it's also harder to see. Yeah, TBM isn't tactical ballistic, it's theatre ballistic. Basically, it's a ballistic missile designed to be used in an operational theatre. That's its purpose.
It's supposed to be contemporary to attack them, so, you know.
Yeah. It's going to be fired out of the same launchers as well, isn't it? M270 and HIMARS. That's its
Simply.
design goal, I think, yeah.
Something
get-
welded to the back of a truck.
Yeah, it's designed to be a European replacement / supplement for ATACMS, should the supplies of ATACMS ever fall off. which is not a bad thing to have.
Which is pretty poignant in the current day and age.
Indeed, it is.
Next.
Next is. Oh, bloody hell. And I've lost my thing. Oh, for fuck's sake, I've lost my mouse cursor. Why would you do that? Oh my god, so much to do. There we go. So that was the last of the YouTube questions. Now it is just the Patreon questions. So, Admiral
Patreon.
Wells... Not Patreon, sorry. Discord
I
questions.
was about to say.
Admiral Wellesley
I was about to
asks,
say.
would an Ace Combat game set in the mid to late 50s be fun? Yeah, I don't see any reason why not.
You could set Ace Combat in
Any-
almost any era, and
I mean,
you could technically make it fun.
Sky, whatever it's called, is Ace Combat set in of alternate World War II, isn't it? Sky, whatever it's called. Sky Gamblers, Sky... You know, the one with the rear pushy proppy planes, those ones.
Skycrawler?
That's the one.
That's a movie, not a game.
There's also a game.
No, correction, there is a game on the DS called that as well.
Okay. I mean, it's probably based on the movie, but
And it is
But-
and
yeah.
it is an Ace Combat alike.
to be fair, it would be. I think the period I want Ace Combat to do is jump into the original war between Belka and Uzia.
Nice.
No, that's not the War of the Round Table, is it?
No, I'm talking about the one way before. I'm talking about World War II era stuff. In the original lore, where Belka's strength came from the fact that it kicked the living shit out of Uzia, out of the sheer fact that it's the first one to
You
invest
want
a lot into its air.
you
into
want
its air
Wings Over
power.
Flanders, but you want Wings Over Flanders, but you want fucking Ace Combat Wings Over Flanders. That's what you want.
I mean, basically, but yeah, it's just.
Nice. That's a
The
good idea.
understanding is, from what I'm understanding, is that lore-wise, Belkin basically flew a bunch of 109s while absolutely trashing on the Uzians with their whatever, allied equivalent that you want. It'll be cool if they expand upon it in terms of, instead of just giving us a lore blurb, they could totally make an entire game out of it. Why Belka became such a ridiculous thing. And their emphasis on super weapons and, their Air Force. Anyway. Continue on.
Admiral Wellesley, Insanity 2 asks, if a Ulysses-sized asteroid is headed towards Earth, will hit 5 years from now, and is estimated to hit on the European continent, what would be your preferred defense against it? No Dark-type missions. We're fucked. Within 5 years, there is fucking nothing humanity of present day can do. There is no defense we can mount against it.
Against what? Again?
A Ulysses-sized asteroid headed towards Earth will hit 5 years from now and hit the European continent. 5 years is not enough time. There is no... What is a Dart-type mission?
Dark type is the idea of utilizing nuclear weapons. Of course.
Oh, double asteroid redirection test. Right, I see.
Yeah.
So use another asteroid to hit another asteroid to redirect another asteroid. So if we're not allowed to do the only practical method of actually doing this, then congratulations, we're fucked.
I'm sure his entire point is to make you force the entire world to construct some whatever strange
You
world
cannot
super weapon.
You cannot. The Chinese won't help. The Americans won't help.
No,
They're not.
They will. Once they realise it's a planet killer, they will.
Even if everyone helps, there's nothing we can build that will stop the damn thing.
Yeah, there is.
Not an asteroid of that size.
Yeah, there
Even-
is.
Even every single nuclear weapon on the planet wouldn't make a dent.
Well, because there's a very interesting thing. It depends on where the asteroid is hitting in the lunar cycle. Because about the mass of the moon and its orbit, the moon creates for a large asteroid, there is a very, very small orbital window where it will hit the Earth and not get pulled out of its trajectory by the moon's own gravity, right?
Right.
And because that's a very, very thin, relatively orbital window,
Uh-huh.
you would only have to change the trajectory of the asteroid by 1 to 2 degrees before the moon does its thing.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's a theoretical plan for an asteroid of that size and bigger who basically carpet nuke the fucker on one side to try and to lever the asteroid 1 to 2 degrees off course. So it'll either hit the moon or it'll slingshot from the moon.
Right.
And a mixture of
Stuff of the Ulysses
Earth.
size, you don't want it hitting the moon.
Well, the idea is it hitting the moon is better than it hitting Earth.
Eh,
Like, sure, it might send us back to the Stone Age, but Stone Age is better than Extinct.
I mean, possibly.
The ripples,
And-
the ripples from a moon impact might perhaps be survivable, if not, might even be able to preserve some of the current civilization. A Ulysses impact on the Earth directly isn't just an extinction level event for humanity. It may reset life on Earth.
And the thing is, the moon is the moon is an absolutely excellent giant asteroid collector, as is shown by the craters on it. And honestly, probably the best situation you could hope for
Is what happens
is
in Ace
to
Combat if it
redirect
fractures.
it a couple of degrees. So it slingshots off the moon,
Yeah.
but it slingshots through Earth's upper atmosphere.
Yeah. If also we could
So
hope.
if it's guaranteed to hit, there's because I'm reading this talk about as a reader, there's a survival statement of if you can set it into a decaying orbit, Earth's atmosphere and air resistance will strip all the mass off it anyway.
Hmm.
Because planets are really fucking durable.
To be fair, I'm more angry at the fact that Jupiter's slacking on its job.
Yeah, like,
I mean, there is
How
also.
dare Jupiter slack on its job?
Yeah, I mean, there is also the third option that we're not considering.
go on.
We may not be able to stop the asteroid in 5 years, but I bloody well bet you if you put everyone's space programs together, we could absolutely get a survivable human colony to Mars in 5 years.
No.
No.
No. Because
No.
assuming it's set software today, the transit window is more than 5 years from now to get to Mars.
Well, that's fine. It can stay in orbit while the thing hits the Earth.
That is a lot of supply you're fitting onto a ship.
Yeah.
Because
I'd
on
rather-
Mars, at least you could try to, Mark Watney it and farm your own shit.
Oh, so interestingly, so who is familiar with the Fermi paradox? Right?
I've heard of it. That's the extent of my knowledge.
It's in writing the paradox of if life is so common and made of base elements, why is the universe not full of life? And there's a lot of answers to it. And the one I find the favorite one that I was reading about recently was, so you know that every couple of years Jupiter will chuck a giant asteroid at us, right?
Yes.
And that will get stopped by the asteroid belt, or it'll get stopped by the moon. And if it somehow makes its way through both of those, Earth's atmosphere just turns it into base components before it hits the ground.
Yeah.
And doesn't actually do that much damage to the planet, right?
Yeah.
And for example, that meteor asteroid that fell into Siberia
Yes. the
about a
Tungus-
decade ago now.
Oh, not the Tunguska impact.
You know, what's the Tunguska impact?
No, that was in
No.
1905.
Yeah, well, Tunguska impact is another good example. Have you seen the projections for how big that asteroid was before it got into the lunar system for
No.
Earth? It was big! And the asteroid's really good at fucking burning things, who could have guessed? And it stripped away between 70 and 80% of the mass of what became the Tunguska impactor. And where the theory is, life's pretty common, but unless you're in a very specific circumstances with a very specific moon situation, the solar system will just keep chucking asteroids at any planet that can support life. Because
Yeah.
a star has a transorbital zone where things go in and out of the star system when they do a close orbit of the sun. So, the Goldilocks zone for most stars is right in the center of the transorbital for the solar system.
Right.
Meaning that the way physics is set up currently, any object entering the solar system at speed is set up to spend the longest amount of time possible in the Goldilocks zone of the star.
Understandably.
So an Earth-like world without the moon
Fucked.
would be fucked.
There's a reason why there's a whole bunch of asteroid craters on the moon, and not a lot here.
Apart from the one fucker that got through. The one fucker that got through and killed
it's not
and
like
killed
Earth
the
had
big
to be-
scary
There's more than-
lizards.
And there's more than one throughout the long period of the
No,
Earth, but
Only
hey.
one fucker was big enough to fuck things up. Poor dinosaurs.
3. There's one in the Cretaceous period, there's
Mhm.
one in the giant insect period, and there's one that wiped out the dinosaurs.
Wait, so the dinosaurs suffered not one but 2 impacts, one of which didn't kill them.
Yes.
And the giant insects, ironically enough, didn't die to the meteor. They died to the burny things getting too hot because there was so much fucking oxygen. They literally all burned to death.
No. They died because, completely unrelated to the asteroid that almost wiped them out. It was the fact there was that many trees that they were eating that they gave all life oxygen poisoning.
Yeah, that happened.
Ah.
There was such a thing as too much oxygen.
And it's like, with the moon how it is, and with the asteroid belt playing cover, and Mars itself playing cover for the big stuff, asteroid impacts every couple of tens of millions of years still cause significant damage to Earth. And so if you got rid of Mars and the moon and just the asteroid belt, you'd be looking at a mass extinction every million years or so in our solar system.
To be fair, if you look at the surface of Mars, there's actually not that many crater impact on that thing as well.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Well, Mars also has 2 moons that kind of act like Earth's one.
Yeah, I like it.
Uh,
Have
Both of
you
you
seen the image?
but all right.
Yeah, have you seen the images of Phobos?
They do the same job. Look, they
Yeah,
applied. Look, they applied for the same fucking job. Okay, they saw the job listing and they both fucking wanted it, and there was 2 positions open, so they got it.
And
You know,
fun
it will
fact-
actually be funny if those 2 are actually just the remnants of a bigger moon that got completely fucked.
Also, do you know a fun fact? Phobos, from what we can see geologically, has never been a part of the planet. It's a long-term asteroid, long-term planetoid from the asteroid belt that became a moon, right?
Moon.
There's been that many asteroid impacts over its life. Phobos has a decaying orbit.
Oh.
Okay, it's like 100 million years from now, but Phobos has been hit enough by asteroids that it's falling out of orbit.
That'll be a very pretty impact when it happens.
Yeah.
That'll be a planet-shattering impact when it happens.
It depends on how it hits, because right, the thing that we figured out about planets is, especially a planet with an atmosphere, as long as it's not a direct, straight-down impact, they're incredibly durable against it. And it's why...
I mean, Phobos could actually, as weird as it sounds, glance off.
it plants off, or there's a good chance that when it hits the atmosphere it starts to break up, and it gives a scattershot effect, and the orbit's decaying enough that it'll enter Mars's upper atmosphere and start stripping itself.
I mean, if we're
Long
still,
before it actually decays down into an impact.
I mean, if we're still around as a species by that point, I bet you we could do something about it.
Yeah, I mean, we
If
hope
we-
so.
Yeah, if we're around that far in the future, we can use our bullshitium grombeloid drives.
I mean, assuming we still live in this dimension,
I guess.
Yes,
we can always go there as well.
true.
I mean,
Using the
consider-
bullshitium grombeloid drive.
Consider that recognizable humans have made up 0.01% of Phobos' orbital decay rate.
What?
Yeah.
What? Why? Why?
That's how much of Phobos' orbit has decayed in human history.
Oh. Well, it'll be fun to watch
It
it
is a
happen.
tiny thing.
Yeah. It's like, but yeah, even small moons are really, really good at knocking out asteroids and keeping the planet they're orbiting safe from asteroids, to get back to the original question. And the issue is unless it's specific, asteroid like the Ulysses asteroid, unless it's specifically aimed it's basically guaranteed to get caught by the moon, because the moon has so much fucking gravity. Like, for context, if people don't seem to realize this, the moon, if it didn't orbit the Earth, would be classified as a planet.
It is a very big satellite.
It has a greater mass than some planets in our solar system.
There's a reason why everyone's saying, why is everyone thinking about Mars? We should colonize the moon first.
Yeah. And because how they get around this in Strange Reels. So you know Strange Reels moon? That's got 1/9 of the mass of Luna, so it didn't do its job.
Yeah. Also, they haven't been to the moon in Strange Reel, I don't think.
They have.
I thought they were too busy blowing each other up.
No, they have.
Because that planet is full of wars, and I don't know how its economy functions.
Play,
No
look at
question
the
it.
modern economy. Look at modern economics. Do you have any idea how our economy functions?
Okay, that's fair. Anyway, the last of the Admiral Wellesley Ace Combat. Fuck! I can't think of an A alliteration that begins with 3. Thoughts on the design of the Alicon submarine? A secondary question: would it have been better if it was just an SSBN, keeping the carrier functionality? I have one word for you: strange real. The Alicon submarine is something that only exists and makes sense in the madness that is strange real. Would it have been better if it was just an SSBN with the carrier functionality? Yes, it would be slight. I would slightly less want to bash it over the head with a sledgehammer. What is the point of a carrier submarine? They make no bloody sense. Please stop trying to build them. This is a strange real thing. The whole submarine makes no fucking sense. Why does it have a railgun? ICBMs exist. Sub-launch ballistic missiles exist in strange real. We know they do.
No, they don't.
But
We know V1 was almost a unique weapon.
But the Shrimfaxes burst missiles. I know they're not nuclear.
Are
but
not ICBMs.
They travel a fair old distance, don't they?
No.
I mean, can they launch them while submerged?
The
No.
Hrimfaxi had potential, but was then taken out. They have to be above water to fire their missiles
Why? Why has
Both
no
of
one? Why has no one thought of building a sub-launch ballistic missile?
because it didn't work for them.
Why?
Things didn't pan out, so other nations did other things. The
Strange
reason why
real.
you've got the reason why you have a carrier-based submarine is all of a sudden, when the attack by an enemy carrier has found us and is attacking us, we are so far away from land we have no hope. Well, what's the options? Well, we either dive and just get depth charged, or we launch our own wing to intercept them, and then while they're doing that, then we can dive and try and reposition.
I mean, I could see the logic, as much as I'm internally screaming at it.
I too love living on the seafloor for 2 years.
No, not that kind
It's
of.
good until someone starts working on your crisp white sheets.
Yeah, not that kind of internal screaming, folks. Not that kind of internal screaming. Well, Dragon's here, so we can actually answer.
Okay, can we finish this one?
Yeah, I was just saying we can answer the other one once we're done with this one. But I would still question that if they can develop things like the burst missiles, and we know that V2. Oh well. First things first, I have to make the joke. We know what V2 is for. Ha 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 ha. But joking aside, we know that Belka could develop something like V2, and we know that ships. But we know the Kirovs exist. We know Slavas exist. We know Ticonderogas exist. We know ships with vertical launch cells exist. So the problem I always have with Strange Real is they have literally everything else, and then they have Excalibur, which is supposed to be a defense against ICBMs, but no one has ICBMs.
You know why no one has them, basically?
No.
Because of Belka.
But
Everything.
Belka
Can be
detonating
played.
7 nuclear bombs on their own territory kind of shocks the world.
I would have thought by the
They
time
actually went through nuclear disarmament mostly,
yes.
and it actually worked.
Yes.
Yeah,
But the point I was trying to make is that prior to that, the technology level would have been such that ICBMs and SLBMs you would have thought would have been around for at least 20 to 30 years prior to that.
the V2, the first MIRV, was built in 1980 for them.
Well, fair enough, but even so, single warhead ballistic missiles and the ability to build sub-launch ballistic missiles I would have thought still would have been around, bearing in mind that MIRVs on SLBMs don't arrive till Trident and its equivalents. But Poseidon had been around for 20 years before that. Sorry, not Poseidon,
We
Polaris.
know the number of ICBMs is ridiculously low in Ace Combat because of because of Belka effectively blowing themselves up.
Yes, that's I'm not denying that. But
And
I'm saying-
also, a lot of the people went, Well, what's the point of a ICBM when you've got these other weapons?
Yeah, and it's also because, unlike OTL, Strangefield got very, very good at shooting down small things in orbit.
But yes, but that didn't happen until the 80s, 90s. This is the problem I have. What prior to the massive shakeup that is the fall of Belka and the Ulysses crisis, why aren't there more ICBMs and SLBMs around? Without those two events that bring in large-scale defense against things like ICBMs and SLBMs, and the horror of those nuclear weapons detonating, and the V2 crisis. Prior to that, even with V2 being the first MIRV, why aren't there more missiles like the single warhead versions of Titan, or the single warhead versions of Minuteman 1, or even the things that came before them? Why haven't we got things like the SR7 and SR9, the massive liquid-fueled...
Because weapon
pad
tech went
launch?
different directions.
And they got very good at shooting things out of the skies.
Right. Keep in mind, we're dealing with fighter-mounted railguns.
I mean, yeah...
We're dealing with giant flying
dealing-
Arcbirds.
We're dealing with fighters with full-blown pulse laser systems and then long-duration energy beam weapons.
This hurts me. I need to stop trying to rationalize Strange
They went
Real.
they went different directions because the idea of using an
ICBM is
ICBM
no
to wipe
longer-
them out wasn't as useful.
Yeah, but
It's no longer an effective weapon.
but it's also beyond a certain point with ICBMs, especially once you're dealing with the run-up to
Indeed
the
we are.
Ulysses crisis. You're going to the issue of yeah, we've had to rush laser and intercept tech, and we've got because forgive me if I'm wrong, but didn't at least one of their nations on the southern continent use nuclear interceptors
I think so.
to shoot down its asteroid fragments? A part of the
Sort
reason
of.
ICBMs so prevalent in our timeline is because those got outlawed or weren't invested in particularly hard. In this timeline, you had a very good incentive to invest hard in them and build enough of them. And suddenly, if you've already got the proliferation of ballistic missiles, then the ICBM suddenly becomes a much harder sell, if that makes sense. Because you already have the experience of how do we shoot it down? Like this? Okay, we'll just do this.
Makes sense.
And it,
Yes. Ace Combat always
yeah,
confuses
because
the fuck out of me.
it's not fair. You just have to remember that when it comes to nukes and ICBMs, there is 3 to 4 different treaties in our timeline, which were specifically designed to keep the ICBM as the be-all and end-all of nuclear delivery.
Basically, what if in the 1980s, instead of the Star Wars program, America decides go after, like, say, an Iron Dome project,
Yeah.
I mean,
and the Soviets starts competing with the Americans on that, and then suddenly they achieve a rate where even if they fire all their ICBMs, the actual effective hit rate of an ICBM is near zero. That is the Strange Real universe.
Yeah, that I mean, it's a very make-believe scenario, but I mean, if that's
Well,
You're
yeah,
dealing with a
that's-
universe
that's-
called Strange Real.
No, you didn't let me finish. You didn't let me finish my point, which was going to be to say it's a very unrealistic scenario, but again, this is a place called Strange Real. Realism shouldn't exactly be considered or looked for, so it's fine. It's not a problem, which is what I was going to say before. Well,
I
you
think people did the
said it.
calculations, and the railgun found on the XS-02 has something like a impact force of something like 300 meganewtons. on a fighter that is being resisted by basically just a simple gel piston sled.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Plus, Strange Real's not even that strange.
Strange Real is also the universe where they literally have room temperature superconductors figured out.
Bone Meal Boy, Strange Real don't even have a point of divergence, Sunshine.
Yes, they do.
It's not even
Yes,
our
they do.
Earth.
Yes, they do.
Yeah.
The divergent point is the
technically.
beginning of the universe.
Well,
Yes.
well, yeah,
Well,
You're
well,
going to that video.
oh, come on, really?
Unironically, Ace Combat's official timeline starts near the birth of the universe.
fucking. I just fuck. Fuck.
Yes.
Fuck. Shall we move on to the
It's your show. You
It
could
is.
just say, let's move on.
It is, but I'm trying to be cordial and not jump over people's heads. Where were we? So anyway, Dragon, there's something you need to look at.
There's a picture of 3 ships.
You need to look at this. Where is it? Fuck, I can't find it. Somebody find it.
It's in the thread. It's in a thread somewhere.
Find the
Figure it
thread.
out.
I'll read the
I know what
question
it is.
out. Ah!
Have you seen it already, Dragon? Or
Yes, I read it. I read it before the ramblings even started.
Yes.
then you could comment upon it.
Yes. Read the things.
They're interesting enough. They're,
that it?
like there's because there's not right. It's basically thoughts on the 3 new vehicles they have. Without actually having full-blown size characteristics, I can't say much. Like, one of them's armed with 4 medium dual mega maces, 2 heavy dual ion cannons, and 2 medium dual ion cannons, which certainly isn't bad for a small ship. But it's a question of just how small is it technically meant to be. You've then got the Cyanmos class ground lion, with 3 medium mega mazes, 2 dual heavy mega mazes, and 4 assault concussion missiles, which basically makes it a nice, decent little, I would say, frigate, but then again, it's apparently a heavy siege platform. And then you have the Ground Lion carrier variant of the Fouriers, which is one of the largest of this type of them, which has large side hangers, while still having 2 medium mega mazes, 2 medium ion cannons, and 4 medium dual maser cannons, while still having a number of carrier complement. Personally, I don't like the looks of them that much, but they
They
fit
do.
with Chiss designs, I guess.
They do look very chiss.
In general, I do kind of prefer some of the older stuff they had, but yeah.
Typical gunner.
You know, the
Sorry.
Holotari ships from Stargate. Yeah, no, that's fair. They do look vaguely similar.
Typical Gunner Officer asked, do you think the Midway class,
Oh, boy.
even with an armoured flight deck, still have a weaker flight deck than the Audacious or even Illustrious classes? I don't see any reason why they would. I'd have to actually go and check the flight decks, and there's no information I could find that really said whether they were or were not. So I wouldn't really know. But given they both landed equivalently heavy aircraft through their careers, I would say not. Unless anyone has anything else to add, I'd like to move on.
Look, so gunnery officer, are you a character of the hit Discovery TV show Deadliest Catch? Because oh lordy, you're fishing.
A little bit, yeah.
Admiral Wellesley asks, "What if the light fleet carriers were never built?" Then the RN is the RN doesn't know it, but it's lacking for a lot of cheap money after the war by selling them off like hotcakes to every Tom, Dick, and Harry who wants a carrier. And you don't have Brazil getting a carrier, Argentina getting a carrier, Australia getting a carrier, Canada getting a carrier, the Netherlands getting a carrier. The light fleet carriers are not so valuable for what they do in World War II. They do some work, but they're not. Their absence won't be missed. Where their absence will be missed is after the war. Oh, well, the French
Pretty
don't get a
much.
modern carrier.
Well, the French will just have to will be forced to look at American options.
Yeah.
Fleet. The light
Actually,
carriers were very
interestingly enough-
useful during the war. They allowed other units to be sent to different areas. They were excellent. They also where some of the first jet takeoff and landings were actually carried out from post-war. With the Vampire, I want to say it was. Maybe.
On
no,
the
it
flying
was,
bouncy
it was.
deck.
No,
But-
it wasn't on the Bounty deck, but it was a
But also, so if the Britons aren't getting the light fleet carriers, then you're potentially getting something like Maltese or Audacious.
Oh yeah, absolutely. If the funding is free and the dockyards are free, then yeah, you will absolutely get the Audacious.
Or
The-
you just get you get something like one of the Ark Royal redesigns.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There will be something to take their place.
Because the Royal Navy is getting those carriers.
And I know the Royal Navy. Some of the people who ran around with light fleet carriers after the war are running around with Audacious.
Or depending on nations, but you might be looking at having some of the old Illustrious or Implacables potentially sold.
The
Yeah.
thing that I'm gonna push back against that, because the reason the light fleets were as attractive as they were is because it was a 3-point thing. They were fresh, relatively. They were capable, relatively. But most importantly of all, they were the right size and the right level of crew requirement.
That's why Fox has said some, but go on.
I can't think of any of the nations apart from maybe France.
France and India.
Yeah, maybe France and India that can
France,
actively get
India, and the
away.
Netherlands.
No, even the Netherlands post-war.
And
is gonna-
Brazil.
Brazil and it's literally just the major nations and maybe India. Brazil, the Netherlands, they are going to bulk at the crewing cost of something like an Audacious or an Illustrious. It's
Well,
it's
no.
too
No,
much.
I'd say
No,
what's
no,
more
no,
likely
no.
gonna happen. What's more likely
They're
gonna
not gonna
happen
bulk
is
at an Illustrious.
Fox will let Moe go.
Oh, yeah.
what's gonna happen is there's gonna be a lot more argument in terms of who gets to buy the independence.
Yeah, the independents are going to be a lot more hot commodity, but unfortunately, with the independents,
it
the problem
is,
is they're
yeah.
not as capable.
Yes, but what it's either that or you're buying the Essex.
Yeah, no, that is
Or
aggressively
an
too
Illustrious / Implacable.
much.
Yeah,
No,
Illustrious
that's up in the Essex scale.
actually
Or
have
Essex
a bigger
price.
crew complement, crewing wise, than the light fleets.
Yeah, this is the thing. It's about like the Illustrious class is just on the edge of what the Netherlands could maybe afford, and if there is no other option, they might push to have them and just suck it up. But for nations like Brazil and especially nations like Argentina, it's just
They'll take the Implacables.
they won't. That's even more expensive to run.
Not really crewing cost wise. And if the
Hang on.
British have the Audaciouses or the Maltons, the British are going to be going. The Implacables are going to be for scrap value. So the Illustriouses. And quite frankly, an Illustrious or an Implacable going for scrap value. A carrier is a carrier. Sure, we might have to operate a smaller air wing off them, but there isn't really an issue operating a smaller air wing off a carrier compared to a larger air wing off a carrier. And the Illustrious. They're goofy.
Right. Okay. So the next question, unless there's anything else to add, and I don't think there is. There we go. This is a long question, but actually it's fairly simple. Typical Gunnery Officer asks, do you have any thoughts on this, in terms of the difference between the US and UK designation for light carriers, like the UK Colossus and Majestic class, which kind of resemble and have the lower capability of a fleet carrier, while the US light carriers had smaller size and tonnage than the US fleet carriers, like the Independence or the Saipan? This is a question where the answer is contained within the question. These are not the same ships, nor are they the same designations. The Colossus and the Majestics are light fleet carriers. They are smaller fleet carriers designed to be built quickly. The US light carriers are light carriers. They are designed to be conversions of cruisers, and their new build designs based off that template. They are designed to be light carriers to get more flight decks out in field as quickly as possible. The Colossus and the Majestics are not light carriers. They are small fleet carriers. They are full-size carriers. They are not light carriers.
Simple. One is a panic button, and the other one is a specifically designed ship to fill a specific thing in the fleet that is currently lacking.
They are not directly comparable ships and should not be compared to each other, because they were built for entirely different roles and by entirely different navies.
They're also fundamentally used very differently as well. One could replace a fleet carrier in a secondary role. The other one was never meant to replace a fleet carrier. It was just, here's a flight deck.
We can work with our fleet carriers. Or we can go off and do other things while our fleet carriers are doing fleet carrier things. Oh, shit, we lost Moe. Man overboard! Someone get the crane! Shit. Am I still here?
Yes.
Hello? Okay, good. Okay, so the next question is Tip Gunner asks, why did the US invest more in tankette design after the Ontos? It would be a good reconnaissance and anti-tank platform like the Weasel. They didn't invest more in tankette design, and the Ontos isn't a tankette.
I think that's meant to be why didn't, not wide.
Oh. Well, first of all, because the Ontos wasn't a tankette. It was a tank destroyer. A mobile tracked, it was a small mobile tracked chassis designed to carry 605mm rifles and be chucked at the back of an aircraft. It wasn't a tankette.
Just quickly, I agree with you, Hood, but the rest of the question doesn't make sense for that. Why did the US invest more in tank designs after the Ontos? It could be a good reconnaissance and anti-tank platform like the Weisel. To me, it reads a lot more like, why didn't the US invest in it? Because of these reasons why it would be worth it. Also, wait a second. I need to quickly check a date. Go on, Fleet.
But no, I think I've said everything I need to say. The Ontos was very much a flash in the pan for capabilities and requirements in that period. The US going forward didn't need to follow any line of development leading out of it. It had no need for something like the Weasel.
They actually looked at something. It's not as small, but you could arguably put it along the same lines. You have the original T-92.
Yeah.
Which is a very small tank. Designed to be an airborne tank, or airdrop tank. That's wisdom. But theoretically, if they wanted, they could have looked at that, but then the light tank programs were cancelled in 58.
Yeah, but the issue with any idea for a tankette is that it's going to run into the problem of there's a series of vehicles that does its job arguably better, and they're called armored cars.
Yeah, and also, politely, everyone forgets the Weasels aren't tankettes. They're tracked weapons platforms. The whole point is, it's a moving mount for a 25 mil cannon or a tow launcher. The fact it's armored is just so that the people inside don't get squished.
Yeah.
All that a weasel is a moving 15mm cannon or a tow launcher. That's it.
I mean, and as for the tankettes for their scouting or reconnaissance role, or even the infantry, light infantry support role, those do exist. They're called armored cars.
And
Like the Ferret, the Fox.
And also, politely, the whole infantry support role was solved even later when the Russians said, you know what would be great? What if the APC could, stick with the infantry after they get out?
Actually, I just thought, Fleet, could you call Scorpion and Scimitar tankettes?
Honestly, you know what? You technically could. You technically could. Given their scale, given how much the tank had grown by the time they come into service, and because they're not really light tank material at all, they don't carry the guns or the protection. Yeah, you could actually, hang on a minute, light combat reconnaissance vehicle tracked. That's just a modern way of saying fucking tankette. Fuck me. Jesus Christ. Yeah, they are. They are. They actually fucking are. Fuck me. Jesus Christ, we've uncovered the cursed truth at the heart of the Scorpion program. God help us.
Which means that technically both the British and the French had tankettes in the late Cold War period.
Yeah. And so did the Russians. In some of their little weird things. Since by that definition, so would the PT-76 would also be an amphibious tankette.
Yep.
Fucking hell. Thank God that we don't. Thank God we're not in charge of calling things. Otherwise, we'd be shot for treason. Brandon Larson asks. No. Brandon Larson asks. The year is 1980. You've been tasked with building a guided missile cruiser with up to 20,000 to 30,000 tons displacement as the max can be smaller for the US Navy, Royal Navy, Soviet Navy, Italian Navy, Japanese Navy, or French Navy. What is your design and how many do you build and what do you aren't with? Well, I can rule the Soviet Navy right out because they already fucking built one. It's called the Kirov. So we can rule the Soviet Navy right out. They've already fucking got one. The Italian Navy don't really need one, operating where they do. The French Navy, it's an edge case. But the Royal Navy, the Japanese Navy, and the US Navy, well, for the USN, it's just Strike Cruiser 1980.
Strike Cruiser 1980, Strike Cruiser 1976, Strike Cruiser 1970.
Yeah, they already...
Strike Cruiser 1984,
the designs,
Strike Cruiser
yeah,
1982.
The designs already exist for the USN, just pick one of them. Where it gets interesting, though, is for the Russians, the fucking Royal Navy and the Japanese Navy. Because for the RN, the RN, it really comes down to, well, what do you arm it with? Because the problem you've got is, in this period, Mark 41 doesn't fucking exist. Or, actually, hang on. When do the Spruance refits begin? When does the whole refits to give the Spruance VLS to lob Tomahawk at things actually begin? Let's have a look. So you keep talking, Vox. I'm just going to check this.
8890.
Oh.
Hood. I know you're not here anymore, but Hood, that phrasing.
Okay. When did you receive your 61 cell Mark 41s? It doesn't say when. When? Tell me. It doesn't tell me. Fuck.
Gosh, what period are we making these cruises for the RN?
1980s. This is why I'm asking, because if I can figure out when the Spruancers got their Mark 41s, I can actually say that this will be the first Royal Navy vessel to carry them.
From what I'm seeing, it's the 90s.
Is it? Let's have a look. Let's have a look.
So I've got reference to them using them in the 90s.
Yeah, which means they must have been built beforehand because they were used in Desert Storm and Shield.
Yes. But I think
Uh,
for the Royal Navy, you would be looking at just buying a pair of Strike Cruiser 1980. The early 80s ones. Because let's be real, the only way you're getting these is the response to the Falklands War.
yeah, I'm just trying to figure out. I think it's. Yeah, you're probably right. That could work.
So it'll be carrying what, Harrier and Talos still?
Oh God, no! Strike Cruiser 1980 was supposed to be standard missile all the way. It was basically the bigger Ticonderoga. Well, actually, no. Ticonderoga was smaller Strike Cruiser. Remember, the Tychos were supposed to be the new large destroyers. They were pushed into the cruiser role when Strike Cruiser 1980 was cancelled. But the whole thing was, the thing with Strike Cruiser is that it was supposed to have the same 2 twin arm launchers fore and aft, but it was all supposed to carry, I think, either a pair of 8-inch or a pair of 5-inch as well, and it was supposed to have a lot of, and it was supposed to carry box launchers for both Tomahawk and Harpoon. Whereas Ticonderoga's only ended up with box launchers for Harpoon. Well, I can carry T-Sam in the VLS if I want to. That's why I want it. Mid to late 80s. Yeah, it's not the conversion program for the That's when they get it. Yeah, that's when they get it. So yeah, yeah, I would have that as a nice thing.
Yeah, but probably everyone who's a part of NATO and the US aligned just gets like Strike Cruiser 1980.
Like, if it could become a NATO program. If
It might do. It might.
Like every nation with a carrier is going to want one. So the French are going to want at least 2. The British are going to want at least 2. The US are going to want a lot more than that. Unfortunately, which is probably going to mean that the US may have to actually begrudgingly go, fuck, fine, no nuclear driven. Which, to be fair, they were already edging away from nuclear propulsion for Strike Cruiser, for some of their 80s Strike Cruisers. Which is fine.
So,
Which is fine.
Yeah.
as I recall, the Royal Navy looked at restoring the 6-inch guns in the 80s.
Oh God, no.
A modernized version of the Tiger guns.
No.
Why can I get the awful feeling that Britain might stick a pair of these on? Maybe even just one, but sort of 1 fore, 1 aft potentially.
That would be okay. I'm fine with a modern auto-loading 6-inch gun, provided the tracking's good and the turret's good, and provided it's in a single mount.
No, they were designed for twins.
Why? Please stop.
You would probably see 1 twin.
That's what I'm sort of thinking. That's what I'm thinking. Like having 1 twin on the front is
If it's
what would likely happen.
Because they revived the idea, and they found that it was functionally an improvement, but it wasn't a big enough improvement for how much it would cost. But if cost's less of an issue, because they're already buying Strike Cruiser, then the British had it working, and the French might be interested, and the Japanese might be interested.
It's not even here we go again, Bone Meal. It's the weird thing of this is the bit where history shows weird circles.
Yeah, so the Royal Navy was looking at returning to the 6-inch gun with the advancement in missile technology. The return to the 6-inch gun gets canned when the Soviet Union goes kabang. Which is why now China's taken the Union's place. They're looking at bringing the 6-inch gun back.
Aggressive, angry fleet grumblings.
Well, if you want fleet, there's always the 1980s, what's it called, gun-based cruiser concept. Britain had.
Aggressive, angry fleet grumblings.
That's the one where they wanted to attempt to revive the 8-inch, wasn't it?
There was one 8-inch variant. There was another which was between 4 and 6, twin 6-inch.
You will embrace the
Mod-
missile.
Actually, you know Edgar from World of Warships, which most people assumed initially was entirely fake, including myself.
No,
It's mostly fake. But there's a couple things pointing at, hey, we've looked into this. It's a thing we've considered.
You will embrace the
Which
missile.
is pain.
You will embrace the missile. The missile loves you. You will reject the shell as your primary armament. Embrace the missile for all things.
Well, clearly, Fleet, you just need to also have gun tube-based missile launchers as well.
No, okay, that's it. I'm moving. No, I'm sorry. That's no,
Yeah, okay,
no,
okay.
no, no. We're moving swiftly on.
Auto-loading
Okay,
gun-based
okay,
missile
Moving
systems.
swiftly on before
Right,
I
okay,
slap
back
you.
to the question before Kraken gets us all a brain aneurysm. While you would definitely see the US stick with the 5-inch. Because that's what the rest of the US Navy is using, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the Royal Navy in testing found there wasn't much advantage from going from 5 to 6-inch. But there was a significant advantage from going from 4.5 to 6-inch. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
So you might see the French and the Japanese getting a 6-inch version.
Maybe. Right. Next question.
Because
Sorry. No, it's fine. You
Right.
finish.
I say this to the 6-inch purely because the 6-inch is a response to the Falklands War and the assumption of missile scarcity in the Royal Navy. So in any future war, the idea was that if America wasn't fighting alongside us and the war hadn't gone nuclear, the government isn't willing to pay for the Royal Navy to have the missile magazines and ammunition reserve it needs. So what duties can we offload to the ship's gun? Which turns into the 6-inch can do stuff the 4.5-inch can't. That makes sense. Which I think would fit for how the Japanese and French were looking at things. But I'll stand to be corrected.
Right.
And Dragon's going to get things.
The Bulgarian officer asks, opinions on the current Indian Navy and their expansion of their fleet. Do you think they could theoretically contest a Chinese expansion into the Indian Ocean? Given India's current strength in submarines, aircraft, and the fact they would have a local land-based air advantage over the Chinese, where in every other theater the Chinese are planning to fight, they would at least have land-based air parity. Whereas if they're going into the Indian Ocean, they do not have that. Then, yeah, absolutely. The Indians are perhaps... The Indian Navy, at its current strength with 2 active carriers, can, in theory, contest a Chinese... Given how many fleet train assets the Chinese have, any realistic force the Chinese could put into the Indian Ocean, without relying on anyone else's naval bases, the Indian Navy can actually contest and fight to a standstill. Is their navy perfect? No. God, no. Have they made some missteps? Yeah. And procurement FUBARs? Oh, God, yeah. But then again, who fucking hasn't? But if we look at what the Chinese could actually deploy, compared to what India could actually bring to bear against it to stop it, Yeah, the matchup leans in favor of India.
Yeah, what's it? The real world isn't like Hearts of Iron 4. You can't put a fleet of 400 ships in a level 1 naval base. You're built in 27 days.
Could the Chinese, will this balance hold forever? No, not if China keeps building its logistics train out, and it'll only hold until they get their second Katabar carrier, and they can sortie both into the Indian Ocean. Then it swings in favour of them. Well, no, it swings further. It swings towards a balanced engagement rather than favouring India. But bear in mind, even if China has one Katabar carrier, and they choose to sortie that into the Indian Ocean, or they choose to sortie that and their ski jump carrier, the Indians can still oppose that with 2 fairly capable ski jump assets, and then they have land-based aircraft as well. You need to bring 2 full Katabar carrier strike groups, plus a significant logistical chain into the Indian Ocean to outmass the Indians. Which is saying something. Right.
Yeah, you're still looking to get through a force of MiG-29s, Raphaels,
Jag!
P-8,
Did I mention the Jag?
and good lordy, that's a lot of Soviet Magic School Bus land-based anti-shipping missiles.
And that's not counting India's very capable submarine fleet. Which is something that they work at consistently, but everyone consistently forgets about.
Yeah. They've got some pretty neat stuff going on in their sub-fleet.
Yeah, but as with a lot of things, especially given the Indian Navy's track record, we can't really say how they'll actually fight it. Because they are an unproven force. And last time they did get into a naval fight was in the 70s.
Which, to be fair, they absolutely fucking dominated, but that was against Pakistan.
Yeah. And Pakistan got way too many licks in for what forces the Pakistanis actually had.
Yeah.
And it's one of those cases of, on paper, it's a very capable force. But it's a lot like the Bundeswehr, where it's on paper, as I understand it. And just to cover all my bases, I'm not saying it's because they're Indian. Fuck knows, most European militaries have the same issue currently.
Yeah, what we're saying is they haven't proven themselves in a modern naval conflict yet.
Nobody has.
But what I will say is politely, just to kind of demonstrate something here, I mean, the fact that the Indian Navy can put all this to sea at once, even if it is only for a publicity photograph, shows their capability.
Oh, it puts them in the top 5 easy.
Like, the fact that all of this can actually go to sea at the same time and be crewed. Like, that's no easy feat.
Yeah. It puts them in the top 5.
And
Which is brilliant unless you're fighting number 2.
And I'm also sorry, but I know the Kiev was an absolute clusterfuck to get working. But over there on the top left is one of only very, very few domestically built aircraft carriers constructed in the 21st century outside the United States.
Yeah.
And, like, I'm sorry, But no, I know they made it work, but it was a clusterfuck to get it working. But while that is an impressive achievement, building a keel-up aircraft carrier, even a Stobar one, is fucking impressive.
What, they're one of 5 nations? 6 nations that have done it domestically?
In the 21st century, they're one of only 2. Us and them.
3.
Sorry, 3. China as well.
Oh, no, actually 4. Because you've got the British, the French, the Americans, the Chinese.
Oh yeah,
and the
Charles
Japanese.
de Gaulle commissioned in the early 2000s. I keep forgetting that.
And you've got those new Japanese light carriers.
She's the only new Stobar carrier. Sorry, she's one of only 2 new Stobar carriers built though. Which is her and the Chinese one.
I thought Charles de Gaulle was Stobar.
No, she's Cadabar.
Okay.
She's the only non-US... Sorry, she was, until the Chinese MacGuffin commissioned, the only non-US Cadabar carrier.
Okay, yeah, so I got my destinations mixed up. Which should help to illustrate the point that India's in the top 5 when it comes to naval strength. But are they capable of fighting number 2?
Considering,
And I mean, let's not forget, the Indians are building another aircraft carrier, and this one's going to be 65,000 tons.
I could also see them doing something similar to what the Germans did in World War I, where they just make themselves big enough that, yeah, China could win. They'd lose so much of their force that the U.S. would pounce on them.
Ironically enough, the Indian Navy isn't aimed. Ironically enough, the Indian Navy isn't aimed at any one person. They want to be the dominant force in the Indian Ocean, so that even the most powerful navies have to work with them if they're in the Indian Ocean. We don't know what the future Indian CV looks like. The design hasn't been finalized yet. We suspect it's going to be we suspect it's going to be their first Catobar. They've said it is, but we don't know if they're going to. Well,
Yeah.
Well, yeah, the Pakistanis are. Yeah, yes, that is very true.
The issue with this new Indian carrier that they're designing currently is that their previous one was a lot of work based off, I think it's Vijayanagar, former HMS Hermes.
Yeah, she was.
Yeah. Because she's based off that with a lot of influence from the Russian shipyards.
Yeah.
And the big issue is India's cut off those shipyards after the shit show that was, and the political corruption, and the FSB being involved, and
Yeah,
yeah,
they're
And
pivoting US. They're pivoting US in a big way.
no, they're not.
I know they are. It's
Not specifically for these carriers.
no, they are absolutely. Yeah, they're going for a nuclear powered carrier, and they're trying to buy emails from the US.
But they've also partnered and subcontracted to BAE for
Yeah.
designing it. And
Which
a
we
couple
could-
of years ago, they bought parts of the designs and the technical specifications for constructing the Queen Elizabeth.
Yeah.
It'll look like a QE because there's a lot of BAE's fingerprints all over it.
Knight, what do you mean by applying American designations retrospectively? What do you mean by that?
What he says.
Yeah, but what's that in reference to?
Just in general. Because my brother showed this to us about a couple of weeks ago. So, are you aware that CC is the American designation for battle cruiser?
I am.
Well, this book that he got from a bookstore recently in Wolverhampton, called labeled Hood, Renown, and Repulse as CCs and capital cruisers, the American designation instead of battle cruisers.
Yeah, that's not right by any metric.
And that's the most obvious case I can think of, but that's happened. That's happening. That's happened quite a few times with different ships, and it's fucking annoying.
I can imagine.
The next question.
Yes. So the next question is, if it'll let me. Question about the tankettes. Why didn't the UK adopt the Bren carrier with the 40mm AT gun as a tank destroyer for the early part of World War II? Because they came up with a better way to move the 2-pounder around if they wanted it mobile. Have you ever heard of the concept of a portee, Laurie?
It's not even that late. So until the answer is pretty simple for question. Until 1943, the British never had enough Bren carriers for the Bren carriers designed use. So, for those of you that don't know, the Bren carrier is designed to pull double duties, right? As a method of transporting infantry squads, and as an artillery tractor.
Keep talking, I've got to go deal with something.
And the Bren carrier ran into this issue of, well, and later the Universal carrier of, there isn't a fucking enough of them to use them as Bren carrier, as tank destroyers or mobile anti-tank guns. So they ended up putting them back on Bedford 4x6s. Yeah. The answer pretty much is they never had enough of the fuckers until late 43, early 44. And at that point, the 2-pounder's not really a functional anti-tank gun anymore. What time is it?
7:58.
Oh, right.
I don't need to do any weird time zone conversions to give you that number anymore.
Yep. Oh god, the biggest one. Right. Have you heard of the game RVA There Yet Turrets?
Of what?
Have you heard the game RV There Yet? Like RV as in motorhome.
I have not.
Are you at your laptop? Search it up on Steam. I was meant to play that with Dragon today, and then Fleet started because we didn't think Fleet was actually going to fucking do it. I don't know why he's just left me here because I'm rambling on his stream now. I could go full Hassan Piker and get him banned, but I was tempted.
Let's not do that.
Are you telling me not to be cruel? Because that sounds like you're telling me not to be cruel.
Like, I'm cruel to Fleet, but there's a lie, you know?
Fine.
This? Okay, I'm looking at this. What the frick is that bridge? Oh god. Okay.
The best part of it is pretty much everything's actually physics simulated.
Yeah, I'm seeing this. Hang on. Let me check something real quick. Where the hell did I put my Steam Deck?
It's like £6.80 on Steam.
Oh. It's verified on Steam Deck.
Yeah.
Oh
And it's 4-player cooperative co-op.
god. I was trying not to spend money. I really didn't want to spend money this month.
And they recently brought out a second map for it. And double the amount of game time.
Foxo, I'm gonna need you to stop selling me on this game, please.
Oh, and they've also got modding tools for it, which allows you to create your own modders to create their own maps. And from a quick look at their Discord, people are already creating challenge maps for it.
I'm gonna have to buy this, aren't I?
Yes, you are. Okay, and just answer the question. Fleet has had to go walkies, I think, and he's asked us to hold down the fort quickly. He said we're back in a minute. It's been over a bit. And as for CC, standing for Cruiser, as funny as that is, as Americans being Skaven, yes, it stands for Capital Cruiser. Because it was the designation thought up for the Lexington class battle cruiser.
Yeah, the U.S. Navy can be interesting at times, but they're not that dumb.
Because how I've always seen BB is a B was used to refer to pre-dreadnoughts. BB tends to refer to like the dreadnought battleships. So BB I've always seen a thing being, I have battleship. I have big battleships.
As I said, the U.S. Navy can be interesting at times.
And so DD comes from torpedo boat destroyer. And when they were building it, a series of British torpedo boat destroyer were called torpedo boat destroyers. Because they were destroyers designed to sink torpedo boat destroyers. So, destroyer. It fits, no? Yeah.
I've been bashing my head against a wall.
Don't do
I've been
that, it's
trying
bad
to
for
get
the wall.
Morrowind working on my computer.
Morrowind?
Yes.
Morrowind.
Yes.
Morrowind.
Yes. What about it?
How many cores does your CPU have?
4.
then you're fucked.
Oh.
So Morrowind is single core, right? With the capability of having... Oh, I can't remember how the fuck they do it. But it's capable of multi-threading to 2 additional cores. And theoretically, it won't actually get any bonus from it, but those 2 subsidiaries, I think they're called slave cores or something, give up the rest of the cores, let's say, blank work to do, so the game runs. With that system doesn't work if you've got an even number of cores, so the game engine just shits itself.
To BIOS I go!
Yeah, it's just... It's like I've got an i7. I've got a 7 core, and it works perfectly fine on mine. Yeah, please get back, Fleet.
We have thoroughly tangented now. We're not even on the topic anymore.
Keep talking, I'm just fiddling.
No promises.
Not like that, you dirty-minded bastard. And you dirty-minded bitch.
Bastard, please. I know who my father is. Unlike yourself.
Yeah, that's that. That's that. That's a bit too far forward. So do that. Like that. And how would I sit?
All right. Foxo, you did it. I own RV there yet.
Back a bit, wouldn't it? So, there, Brian.
I hope you're happy with yourself.
We do. So we just like that. Put that there.
And remember to clean up after your fires, because you can start a forest fire in game
Like
if you do not dispose of your disposable
I
grills
can
correctly.
start a forest fire?
So there's an item called
Nah.
and there's an item called a disposable grill. And if you don't dispose of it properly, in the second act of the game, the forest catches fire.
Good crack.
I'm gonna set the forest on fire.
Yes. Remember, to safely dispose of your disposable grill, you have to go to an area of dry bushland, turn it on to max, and put it upside down. Because remember, kids, only you can start forest fires.
Right, I'm here. Please stop trying to start forest fires.
No. She convinced me to purchase RV there yet.
Because
Why?
starting forest fires,
Why? It's Robin
Starting-
Williams' worst film. Why?
okay, no, but starting forest fires is also
You are in the UK now. I can physically threaten you. Why did you do this?
so. Forest fires, starting forest fires with disposable grills, is
Okay,
a lot
all
like
right,
why
you're done.
you chuck car batteries into the ocean.
Stop it.
Because it's to charge up the electric eels.
Stop, please.
And if you don't chuck car batteries into the ocean, the electric eels will run out of power and die.
You are not Aussie Dr. Nefario. You do not have to charge the electric eels.
And thus it is your
The
moral
electric eel
duty.
is now a car starter battery. Congratulations.
Hmm.
Also, Also, have you so on another side, have you heard Pokemon? How the new Pokemon are having
Okay, look,
Pokemon
can we stop the
introduced
side notes,
a
please? We have things
different-
to get back to. Stop it. Stop it.
Oh.
Stop it. Topical gunnery officer asks, in relation to the Vietnam War, why did the US deploy mechanized cavalry units like the 11th Armored Cavalry and other units with armored fighting vehicles and M48 tanks? Even though Vietnam doesn't consist of flat terrain, plains, or hard ground for tank combat other than the lowlands near the DMZ. Do they have trouble maneuvering their AFVs and tanks into and across the jungle terrain? No, because despite what you may have heard, Vietnam was the ideal environment for one of the vehicles the US brought with them in vast numbers. The M113. The M113 fucking thrived in Vietnam.
And the Duster thrived.
And to be frank, the US was smart with where it deployed its M48s, and where they appeared, they were usually an out-of-context problem for the North Vietnamese. Because they were usually so well behind US infantry, but well within main gun range, that getting an RPG hit off that would successfully hit and not instead result in your immediate designation and destruction was basically impossible.
And later on, when they were on the front lines in close combat, a tank, even at close range in suboptimal terrain, is still fucking terrifying.
And also, the US had been training for a long time now to use tanks in urban environments with infantry in close support, because they've been expecting to do that in Europe in the event of a Cold War gone hot. So, this was not exactly unfamiliar. Like, jungle and forest aren't that different. And if you've trained to work infantry with tanks in a forest, you've trained to work infantry with tanks in a jungle.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
functionally, the M48 is, even if you discount its firepower, it's still 48 tons of a moving armoured cover.
And that 90mm HE will fuck you up. And the 90mm cluster round will fuck up you, your mates, and everything around you.
Yeah, and it's a case of a tank is always a threat, especially to an infantry force. It doesn't. You could argue that most of Vietnam, especially in the latter part of Vietnam War, the M48s and later M60s, were used in very unoptimal terrain for tanks, which is fair enough.
You could
But
argue
a
that they
tank
weren't
is still a
tanks.
tank.
You could argue that during the Vietnam War, for most of the conflict, the tanks on both sides weren't tanks. They were mobile fighting positions and armoured pillboxes.
Which is the job of a tank.
Like, for example, and also, we know the Vietnamese respected them as well, because everyone forgets, the Ho Chi Minh offensive that leads to that climactic battles in and around Khe Sanh Airfield was delayed until the North Vietnamese received shipment of, and then moved down, the PT-76s they deemed vital for that offensive to succeed. The North Vietnamese did not conduct their biggest attack of the entire war until they had armor in place. It was light armor, but they still fucking waited for it.
Yeah, it's like the same thing as the Falkland Islands, right? An island in the middle of the South Atlantic, you'd agree that is very bad tank terrain, right?
Yes.
It's full of marshland, bogs, and it's freezing cold.
Yes.
The British landed several scimitars on the
And
Falkland
scorpions.
Islands.
And scorpions.
And scorpions. Despite the fact that they were operating on very suboptimal terrain, they proved disproportionately effective.
The scimitars were found to be okay, but the scorpions in particular, with their low-velocity 76s lobbing HE, were found to be particularly useful for destroying the sandbag emplacements the Argentinians had put up. Especially with the low velocity working in its favour, it could actually, even at line of sight range, lob shells into trenches.
But the fact of the matter is, they were very useful, and they're a massive force multiplier. Despite the fact that they were on terrain that is very suboptimal for them, and they weren't designed for.
It's important to bear in mind, though, that a Scorpion can go places a human man can't stand upright.
Yeah, at Golf Green specifically.
Which, well, to be fair, it's also worth noting as well that no one knew that at the time. The Scorpions and the CVRT's soft terrain performance was already thought to be good. The Falklands was a very, 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 very nice surprise.
Yeah. But they took them down there not knowing that.
Yeah, they knew their software performance was good, so they were the only thing that had a chance. But they didn't just have a chance, they fucking nailed it.
Or another example that comes up, I think, quite well is in... Oh, what's the term? Northern bit of India. What's it called? It's the place India, China, and Pakistan all claim. Kashmir. The skirmishes in the 70s and 80s between India and Pakistan and India and China showed that a lot of the Soviet tanks that both sides had, despite being built and optimized for the Eastern European and North European plain, if they were unopposed in the Himalayan climate, they were still incredibly deadly.
Yep.
And in the Soviet-Afghan war, the Afghans very much respected Soviet armor, even in the mountains, where the Soviet tanks were at their worst and their weakest. Because a tank is still a fucking tank.
If you don't have anything to deal with it, it is still a fucking problem.
Even if you do have something to deal with it,
it's still a fucking
tank
problem.
is a tank.
Yeah, it is still a tank.
And it's... Look, all I'm going to say, if you want to know why people still fear a tank, stand in front of a charging horse. And feel that biological fear response.
Yarp.
And then realize that that's the fear response of every infantryman that gets attacked by one of these fuckers. And a horse doesn't shoot at you. And you can stop a horse easily.
Meanwhile, in World War One.
Yeah.
Right, so, the next question. Civil Commanding Officer, add on to the previous question. Do you think these US mechanized units weren't used in Vietnam like their own doctrine dictates them to do? Since they only engage mostly infantry, obstacles, and static targets in Vietnam, unlike them engaging the maneuver warfare of the Soviet army, which US mechanized units are trained to do. Also, they didn't have a chance of directly engaging North Vietnamese Army T-54-55 tanks like their ANRV allies, since the North Vietnamese Army hadn't deployed these tanks in larger numbers by 1965-69 until the US mechanized units are rotated home. US mechanized units are trained to fight any opponent.
Yeah.
Doctrine only dictates the usage of a force at the theater or core level. It doesn't dictate what that force is trained to fight. These US mechanized units did exactly what they were trained to do. They weren't not trained to clear house to house just because they were mechanized, no. Because occasionally in Europe they might have to do that. They weren't not trained to dig in trench and hold positions because, well, they might have to do that. They weren't not trained to fight light infantry or anybody in particular because, well, that would be a very stupid thing to do. You should realistically expect in war that your division should be called upon to realistically perform any of the major combat tasks you would assign to any divisional force. Attack, defend, flank, force march, infiltrate, hold in place, dig in, run away. And I mean, the fact that they didn't get to engage T-54s and T-55s is honestly irrelevant, given that even during the war, tanks were so small a part of it for all sides involved.
Yeah. And it's so just to point. So this is something I know it's not against your fleet, but I just got to point out that tanks doing the sweeping maneuvers, engaging other tanks outside of N-3, N+3, N+7. Even in the Cold War, it was assumed that the vast majority of jobs in a Cold War and hot scenario, the vast majority of the job the tank was doing is shooting at infantry and shooting at reservists. Or if you're fighting the East Germans, shooting at civilian clothed reservists and insurgency fighters. It's like tanks engaging tanks is the exception, not the norm. If that makes sense.
Yeah. Tank-on-tank actions are rare, and tankers usually don't look forward to them.
Yeah, and I think this is where a lot of the issue comes from. Tank-on-tank fights like you see in Gulf War I are incredibly fuck-off rare.
Yeah.
Like, just 2 to 3 times in history, there's been a large pitched battle between armored forces.
Yeah. We have a final question before we round up for the night. Excuse me, still shaking off the last of this cold. Brandon Larson asks, has anyone seen the videos online of that 29-foot-long Nimitz model ship that is working catapults and sails around? I have not, but I will definitely...
It's in my Facebook feed at the moment. It's neat.
Yeah, it's neat, but yeah, we'll have to go around and I'll have to go and have a look at that. And that brings us to the end of our time. Thank you so much, everyone, for watching. Oh yeah, the M60 never went to Vietnam. I keep forgetting that. But yeah. Well, not the tank M60 didn't. The machine gun did. But the tank M60 didn't. But anyway, thank you so much for watching, everyone.
Wait, no, sorry, I'm just going to check that.
They weren't even beginning to be procured at that point. M60 doesn't come in until the late 60s.
Okay, so the M60 did serve in Vietnam. However, the majority that was sent over was the M60A VLB, the Vehicle Launch Bridge, and the M728 Combat Engineer vehicles based off the M60. Few M60 battle tanks were actually sent.
Right. Yeah, there we go. There we are. There we go. Right. Tune in tomorrow if you're a Twitch enjoyer for the next part of the Race to the North series. And tune in on Monday for Ramblings.